We welcome you back to our spring edition of Longhorn Weekly, and we've been talking quite a bit of football and athletics in general. So one guy who kind of bridges the boundaries of both is lifetime Longhorn Emmanuel Acho. Man, he played football at the University of Texas and played professionally as well, and you kind of settled back, as many do like to in the greater Austin area. I guess once you got here, when you got down from Dallas, I know you liked it here. Yeah,
without a doubt. I love Austin, and that's why I come back right now. I'm going back to grad school in the off season. Got to be back in Philadelphia here Friday, so the off season's dwindling down nearly. But it's been a good time. Got to come back to Austin. A lot of the pro guys, Brian Arakpo, Derek Johnson, Jamal Charles, we all come back. We work out together, and we pour back into the city that poured into us.
You've had an opportunity here and getting an opportunity to taste professional football. What's the thing that appeals to you, and what is the biggest stark difference between pro football and playing at the college level?
Yeah, the biggest difference would have to be in the pro game, the stress level increases. You know, when you play at a university like Texas, when you play at a big-time university, you've played the Alabamas, you've played the Oklahomas, we've played a bunch of guys that go on to be all pros. But at the NFL level, you can get cut, you can get traded, you can get released. All three of those things have happened to me in my brief 2-year stint in the NFL so far. In college, you can't get cut, so to speak. You can't get traded, you know, so these things you don't have to deal with, these sort of circumstances. In the NFL, it's all fair game.
It's very, very businesslike, isn't it?
Without a doubt. It's very businesslike, and you have to be prepared for that. You know, when you're in college, everything just comes naturally to you. The coaches, because it's their job to do so, and in a sense, feed you a lot of things on a silver platter. Well, when you get to the NFL, everything's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to come in shape. It's your responsibility to stay in shape. And it's your responsibility to be in shape. And that just has to do with the physical attributes and the physical part of the game, not even talking about the mental.
You had the opportunity to participate in a sports panel during South by Southwest, and the big topic that came up was compensation for student athletes. It's a very hot button topic right now. Give folks your take on how the panel went and your thoughts on this issue overall.
Yeah, so the issue was, should college athletes be paid to play? And that's probably the hottest topic right now. You know, a lot of things have just now come to fruition with Northwestern being allowed to unionize. And so we discussed that, and I was on the board along with Christo Conti, the athletic director at TCU. And so it turned much more into a debate than it did a discussion.
And you're fine with that.
I was 100% fine with that. But I was obviously pro paying collegiate athletes, and Christo Conti was a little more withdrawn towards that idea. But it became a debate, and I think that sooner or later I do think collegiate athletes will be paid. I think we saw yesterday by the NCAA allowing teams to feed athletes, whether it be scholarship or walk-ons, allowing them to feed every college athlete come August 2014. I think that's the first step, because when you talk about being able to feed athletes, then the teams and the universities that have the money to do so will do so. Those teams that don't will not. And it's the same thing, I think, when finally it would come time to pay athletes. Only the teams that can afford to will do so. So although we may be titling it something different, and although we may be shifting money into their stomachs, so to speak, although we may be shifting money into a food stipend, it's steps that we're taking, steps that I think are necessary for the collegiate game.
Do you think that the revelation by Shabazz Napier off Connecticut's national championship team kind of helped fuel that deal when he said he went to bed hungry at times? And I know there was a lot of cynicism that came out and said, here's a guy that plays Division I basketball, team that goes on to win a national championship. This isn't like some of the kids that you and your brother have had to deal with when you've gone on your missions back to Nigeria. It's not the same thing, yet here's a guy saying, I didn't get enough to eat, and I had to go to bed at nights a bit hungry.
I think that's what made it a national issue. I think when you have a prominent player at, again, a prominent university, your voice is much more likely to be heard. And that's what made it a national issue. And talking to the nutritionist at Texas, I knew this was brewing over the last year or so. I knew she kind of mentioned, well, this is coming possibly. But when you have an athlete come out and say that and use such strong words, such strong verbiage that people that aren't familiar with the collegiate athlete game can now recognize and identify with. He went to sleep hungry. Oh, he was starving. You know, when you start using words like that, all of a sudden people really do care, because now they understand, and now they can at least sympathize. If they can't empathize, at least now they can sympathize and reason with, oh, maybe they should be fed more. You know what I mean? And so I think that just simply pushed it over the edge.
You said you feel that this eventually will get there, that there will be student athletes compensated in some form.
Yeah. Yeah, I think eventually there will be monetary compensation, at least, and this was a stand I took in the panel, in the paid for play panel. At least there should be some sort of royalty check. If you're selling an athlete's jerseys in a stadium, then I believe that athlete should be paid, because after that athlete graduates, if he's fortunate enough to go to the NFL, you now all of a sudden get paid to be on a video game. You all of a sudden get paid for jersey sales. So what then should be such a significant difference? If they're using your likeness, if they're using your jersey number to sell tickets, then that athlete should be compensated. Otherwise, sell jerseys with a 00 on the back. Do not give out a 00 to anybody on the team, and let's see jersey sales. Let's see how they are.
As serious a student as you and your brother Sam were, and your dad being a doctor, and all that, I have a hard time envisioning you guys playing NCAA football 2011, 2012. Did you guys do that?
I stopped, after.
So you did do it.
I did early on, but funny enough, so there was a linebacker that I played with who now plays for the Washington Redskins, Keenan Robinson. And they made Keenan better than me going into my sophomore year on the game, and I boycotted it ever since. True story.
Really?
True story.
And so Keenan wouldn't let you forget that, right?
Nah, Keenan wouldn't. They made him the impact player on defense, and I said, Keenan, I'm done with it. I'm putting it down. I'm putting it down.
What do you see in your future? What you'd like to do?
Football-wise or overall?
Overall.
Overall, I go back to grad school right now for sports psychology. And so I'm trying to just diversify myself and my level of knowledge in a bunch of different fields. Currently, I'm taking a sports finance, a facility management, and a sports psychology. So sports finance is teaching me about nonprofits. Facility management, how to open, how to run anything from a restaurant to a weight room. And then sports psychology teaching me the scientific and psychological definitions of what I've done to be successful and what I need to continue to do to be successful. So see where those paths take me. Most importantly, I don't necessarily have a definitive goal, a definitive dream for myself, but probably start a business, maybe even get on TV one of these days and just see where that path takes me.
I just see you as the next Dr. Harry Edwards. I see you as the next major sports psychologist and sociologist. You'd be all right with that?
I'd definitely be all right with that. I love sports psychology. I love the mind behind things, and I love seeing what drives and what motivates athletes. As an athlete, it's easy for myself because it comes naturally, but then when I start to learn about different terms like positive self-talk and the effect that can have, when I start thinking about reframing your mind to view stress as a motivational factor, and when your heart starts to pump faster, viewing that as your body preparing you for an important situation as opposed to viewing that as frightening or becoming more timid towards the situation. Thinking about things in that sort of framework and shifting your framework for success really excites me.
Manny, great to see you. Appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate you.